This channel we live on Ghana Television. We also streaming live via Facebook at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. I am Rahmatu Mahmoud Jawando. It's 7 years since the country experienced a twin disaster that claimed over 150 lives. This occurred after several hours of downpour, which got the capital Accra flooded. A oil filling station near the Kwame Nkrumah interchange, where commuters had gone to seek shelter from the rain, caught fire when a fuel leakage on the surface of the water came into contact with a cigarette stub. Hundreds of people suffered various degrees of burns and many lost their property. Some years down the line, the victims of the disaster are about the compensation they have received so far. Others say their lives had not been the same since the tragedy. GBC News' Frida Aban visited the site and spoke to some victims and eyewitnesses of June 3rd, 2015, and has joined me here in the studio to tell us more. Frida.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You witnessed the commemoration today. Were there any victims, and did they also share any of their concerns?
Sure, there were victims there, and honestly, seeing them and the way they were seated, some of them were going up and down. You see them and you kind of wonder what is going on in their minds. And you know, the particular one I saw that saddened my heart was one of them who was wearing a cap. He has a problem with his cap, and he says when the sun scorches, it's difficult for him to see. He's not having it easy at all. And their concerns is that yes, they have received some compensation, but that compensation came from the Beninoan government last year, and so they are expecting that the stakeholders, that is GOIL, the Kole Clote Assembly, and then the NPA will come together to help them get more compensation, because livelihood is a problem. Living in their condition, it's not easy for them at all, the way people treat them and all that. And they said they have resolved with their legal advisors that this year they are not going to relent in their efforts to get the compensation that they are pressing home for. And then they are saying that if dialogue doesn't work, they will be suing the stakeholders. So let's take a listen, or if you have anything more you want to.
Okay, let's listen to what they're saying.
Let's take a listen to what they're
saying. And question if titama me privacy in there, me won't tell me. Me da so call reviews. And surges na me 20 times and so ya yin kase our meeting. Nkase na ye nso to say menya headgear and shemiti tambia me na ma na shemiti but ebi ni miti bibi kamiti sisia beto form sisia ndi sika me de be reviews kra ebi ni
Infiansoni badwuma na me ye ne se me ton home use nti be aka be 4 days ama to renchem nesim me yinu oma 20 fita 20 feet ago hodada mentimi anto mu ba akoko na to renchem ni si to renchem ni mu anso me hwere me baba akọ emu me ensan so pra ko go 37 hospital na bra ye free hospital ba ye be sinne asetra mu ya din fisa me oba ba akọ pa me hwe nkwala anan.
So, well, I can see it saddens my heart as well, but well, did you get to meet eyewitnesses? I mean, who went on hurt? Did you get to meet some?
So, there were eyewitnesses there, but you know, the victims themselves, even though they were in pain, we can also call them eyewitnesses. But an eyewitness that I spoke to who was watching from afar, actually she shed tears for about 10 minutes before she could narrate to me what she saw. And she said at that time she was engaged at the kitchen and all she could hear was, "Hey, you know, people were shouting, wailing. You could feel that people are in pain. And she said, what's happening? Then she came out and she realized that it was raining heavily. I mean, what can you do to help such people? And the fire also was it was up. And she said the feeling that she's having up till now is like she was part of the disaster. And she's saying that seeing your fellow human being calling for help, and you cannot help, you cannot offer any help, is so disheartening. And that she said never again, every time she goes down her knees to pray, she prayed to God that we shouldn't see such a disaster again. Not in anywhere at all. Not in Ghana, not in anywhere at all in the world.
So did they share any lessons they've learned so far?
As I speak to you, she said she has relocated because she was close to the disaster zone. So she has relocated to another area, and she's saying that she's been advising those who are still there that you don't have to wait for it to happen again before you might not live to tell the story. So living in low-lying areas and waterlogged areas, and I mean living around filling station and all that, she doesn't think it's a good idea. I mean, she's engaged a lot of people in conversations, and she could tell that they have also, most of them have paid attention, heeded to what she said. I think
from afar we should also learn our lessons. You know, we should also get to know that it's not advisable to seek refuge under this filling station. Were there any officials there?
There were officials there, but I wanted to tell you that she traveled from Ashoman just to come and witness the commemoration. You could see that it's very dear to her heart. There were officials there. We had officials from the NADMO, Kole Clote, NADMO director was there. And then we had members of the Kole Clote Assembly. We have the Ghana Police Service there. We have the clergy, and then the Adabraka chief was there with his entourage.
And what were they saying?
Well, the Adabraka chief is, adding his voice to calls for people to practice proper disposal of waste. And then she's also calling on the government to he's calling on the government to pay attention, or urging the government to pay attention to the pleas of the victims. And then the official, he represented the MCE. He was not around, so he represented him, and he's saying that already people are being arrested for disposing of refuse at illegal places, or places where they are not supposed to dump refuse. People have been arrested, and also government is dialoguing with stakeholders to see how best the Odo drain, can be in good shape, so that from time to time, when we experience heavy rains, we will not have what we experienced on June 3.
Thank you so much, Frida, for that information. That was my colleague Frida Aban, who just returned from the wreath laying of the June 3rd, 7 years on. Moving on, guests on GBC Breakfast have called on authorities to check the locations of residential areas. They criticize the issuance of permits for such projects, disregarding the dangers involved.
To build a gutter or a drainage, you go with all your equipment, get it out from that. That's it. But you see that the thing is well calculated, and then the rain push it back. The first rain, it pushes it back, and then they go for funds again, and it's repeatedly, it's done over and over. And then it's government, and it's government. Who are the government? Who forms the government? It's you, the viewer. It's us here. Please, let us as a country, let us as ordinary Ghanaians come together and ensure that people who are put on who are on authority, or those who are responsible to do some of these things, do them. If they don't, they must be held responsible. They must be paid. Severely.
There must be some building regulations in this country.
So for you, nothing has changed? Nothing has changed since 2015?
What has changed? Go to cycle, is this like that? We're talking about, look, we are specific on June 3rd. What has changed there? What is education? Are people not still smoking and throwing the cigarette in other petrol shelves? Are people not offloading fuel at fuel stations when people are buying fuel? Have you observed something like that? So say 30 minutes we are not selling fuel because we are offloading fuel in this.
Or why not even offload
late in the night?
Late at night, at midnight, when
you
people are sleeping.
They don't do that.
You do that.
So that's what I'm saying. Do we have the regulators? Do we have the supervisors? Do we have people who really care for the ordinary Ghanaian? I say big no.
The Member of Parliament for Korle Klottey, Dr. Zinato has expressed concern about the effect of the perennial floodings in parts of the country. Her concern follows the recent flooding in Accra that destroyed properties and rendered quite a number of people in her constituency homeless. The Korle Klottey MP and her MPs are therefore calling for a permanent solution to the problem.
Year after year, it's the same problem at the same time of year. When will this finally be resolved? I hope that whatever resources can be mobilized to support the affected person and start the engineering work will improve and maybe prevent the kind of disasters that we've seen, and further recommendations made by the Auditor General's Department taken seriously by the government and implemented if impact is to be made in the lives of those who have been devastated.
We must ask ourselves lessons and ask whether we've been able to learn anything at all from what happened that year. We celebrate the day almost every day, but we continue to do the same things that led to that disaster. MMDCs sign what we call development permit for people to build on waterways. It is the same MMDCs that allows them to build on waterways. How can we be doing this into ourselves?
I strongly believe that if we are to fast track the implementation or the passing of this bill, in that will establish the hydrological authority and ensure that they have enough money, I'm sure they are able to solve most of these challenges.
Why are we not saying that, in fact, flooding has a very debilitating effect, the cost to lives, property, and livelihood, and therefore we should also raise very good money and tackle this problem once and for all.
On Thursday, President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia took part in the YPO Africa Networks Connect conference. He put forward to the gathering from the private sector and business owners the opportunities on offer in Ghana's economy. Dr. Bawumia also explained initiatives rolled out which make the country the preferred destination for investment and business.
YPO is a global leadership community of more than 32,000 chief executives in 130 countries. In Africa, membership exceeds 900, and they are driven by the belief that the world needs better leaders. The group has combined businesses worth $9 trillion a year. They network through peer learning and exceptional experiences in an exclusive community of open sharing and trust to equip members with what it takes for a leadership role in various companies. The co-founder of YPO Africa, Mr. Yaobene Amponsa, explains further.
If you added up all the revenues of YPO members to come to about $9 trillion a year, and so if we were a country, an economy would be the third largest economy in the world. In Africa, we have about 1,000 members and 24 chapters. Representing about 47 countries. So we are pretty much representative of the African continent.
The Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, said, with the myriad of challenges Africa faces, the gathering must find solutions to make the continent a better place for all.
Let it not be said of us in the future that when the mantle was passed on to us as business leaders in Africa, we failed our people. I therefore challenge you that a year from now, when you meet for another YPO conference, we should be comparing notes and sharing in the success of those who are able to rise above the challenges and pursue their lifelong dream of an Africa without borders and where businesses such as yours are flourishing.
This is the first African Networks Connect meeting taking place in Ghana, and the organizers believe it will help produce more innovative chief executives and business owners in the country.
Opening of a national conference of the National Association of Local Authorities of Ghana in Kumasi in the Ashanti region, the Vice President revealed that government is constructing a new public university for local government at Akomadan in the Offenso North District capital. This, he said, forms part of the national effort to develop a human resource and build capacity in local governance.
The national in Kumasi has the theme, Building the Future Together, the Role of Local Authorities. The climax of the event will be the election of a new batch of national executives to steer affairs for the next 2 years. The national president of NALAC, Mr. Bismarck Baisi Inkum, said despite the challenges posed by COVID-19 during the tenure of his executive council, they still made some great gains whilst calling for an amendment to the existing local government law to ensure that the election of a presiding member is won with a simple majority to address the prevailing problems in their elections. The chief director at the Ashanti Regional Coordinating Council, Mrs. Emilia Botri, reminded the participants of their roles in the national transformation agenda. The Minister for Local Government, Rural Development and Decentralization, Mr. Dan Botri, said MMDAs have duty to deepen local governance through grassroots participation, accountability and transparency. The Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, mentioned some of government interventions since 2017 towards further deepening decentralization to engender local level socio-economic development. These include the creation of 6 new administrative regions and the construction of a new university for local government studies in Ghana.
With the creation of the 6 administrative regions, we have not only expanded development, but also created a sense of nationalism and inclusivity. The 6 new regional coordinating councils are also working to ensure development at the local level. And you only have to visit the 6 new regions and you will see for yourself development is happening at a faster pace. There's no doubt about it.
Dr. Baumia asked for more opportunities for women's greater participation in local government. The National Association of Local Authorities of Ghana, NALAG, is the umbrella, welfare and advocacy body for all the metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies, encompassing the MMDCEs, presiding members and representatives of assembly members. Apart from the national conference, its second highest decision-making organ is the National Executives Council, with the president as the arrowhead.
You're watching News Hour here on GBC News and Governance channel. Understanding a message is key to successful communication. Time and again, science messages are left to the imagination and interpretation of the receiver, which often leads to a misinterpretation. To help address this issue, the next Einstein Forum Africa Science Week has been dedicated to the training of science researchers on the arts of science communication. The scientists say communicating science better will speed up the achievement of the SDGs.
Founders of the next Einstein Forum and science communicators believe that the right skills of communication can impact positively for future generations, hence the need to communicate in plain language and without ambiguity. According to experts, the COVID-19 pandemic has brought to the fore the role of science and public health, which has subsequently made it essential to bridge the gap between the scientific community and non-scientific community.
We need to strengthen our position and commitment as this and establish our local relevance to the ordinary people. This can only be done better if we have strong science communication skills to enable us share the correct scientific information with a wider audience. I believe we will be well equipped today to communicate science better and to achieve the SDGs faster with science, technology, engineering, and mathematics STEM.
Speaking on how to effectively communicate in science, a neuroscientist and a co-founder of GH Scientific, Dr. Thomas Tego, emphasized the need for the scientist to understand his goal, audience, the context, and the need to communicate effectively.
When it comes to scientific terms, there's nothing that can be done about it. They are what they are. However, what they mean and how it relates to them is what can be changed. So rather than mention a complicated term, I can rather tell you what the consequence of that is. And that is what's important so that people can identify and relate with it.
Participants were taken through practical science communication and media engagement skills for scientists. The next Einstein Forum is an initiative that is growing scientists and innovators in Africa to highlight breakthrough discoveries and accelerate scientific collaboration for human development. They believe that the next Albert Einstein will be from Africa. For GBC News, Shirley Annan reporting.
The director of the expanded program for immunization of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Kwame Aponsachianu, says the increasing speed of COVID-19 indicates that the country is not out of the woods yet. As of the 3rd of June, 38 new cases have been recorded, shooting up the number of active cases to 101. In an interview with GBC News, Dr. Chanu appealed to the public to step up adherence to the COVID-19 safety protocols and vaccinate to protect themselves from mutations from the virus.
So far, we've done about 15.45 million doses, and this has benefited nearly 10 million persons. So I would say that 10 million people have ever come for a vaccine, whether it is 1 or 2 or 3 times. Out of the 10 million, about 6.4 are fully vaccinated. We still encourage people to put on masks, especially in confined areas where windows and, as it were, doors are closed and all that. People think that COVID is gone, but I tell you, COVID is not gone at all. The virus is a very funny virus. Even to date, even though the scientists will say that we've genetically sequenced it, and meaning we know all the genetic composition, it keeps on changing form, and you never know which form may come that may be more virulent, or in other words, more treacherous in attacking people and killing people than we have now.
GBC News Health Desk has been assessing developments in the relation to COVID-19 vaccination and lack of adherence to the safety protocols. Sarah Fori is on the desk and joins me here in the studio. Sarah, is the country getting closer to the herd immunity target?
Not at all. We've made about 40%. Yeah. If say about, it means that we are not exactly even 40%. We are told that only 10 million people have at least received one vaccine, and fully vaccinated people, we have just about 6.4 million people vaccinated. And the target, as we knew in the past, still remains that we needed to have vaccinated about 22 million Ghanaians before we could say that we've attained herd immunity, because we would have vaccinated a substantial amount or number of the population, so that even if those who remain have not vaccinated, there's no likelihood that there would be an outbreak of a mutation of a sort, because most people have vaccinated. But as we speak, we are nowhere close to the target at all.
Sarah, most people think COVID-19 is a is a thing of the past. You and I can attest to that, because you can see that we are not adhering to the protocols, the washing of hands, the use of nose masks, social distancing, and all that. Do you think we're taking things for granted?
Absolutely. We are all taking things for granted. And this is why things are so. When COVID started, the projections that were made on Africa didn't turn out to be so. So, I mean, as they projected that a lot more numbers will be getting infected and dying from the disease, the continent actually recorded low numbers. And even when you look at Ghana, the case numbers and the number of deaths compared to those abroad, it's quite lower, it's significantly lower. So, a lot of people think that COVID is a disease for those abroad, not us. And there's one thing that scientists have also discovered, that where in populations where there are younger people, the immunity level is somewhat higher than those with aged populations. So when you look at Africa and its youth bulge, if I say youth bulge, it means that we have a lot of youth population than aged population. So you could see that the immunity level is, and where Africa is, or Ghana or Africa is geographically placed, you know that we are in the tropics, so we exposed to the sun and all that. So all these do not really predispose us to the virus, but it still is. It doesn't mean that we are immune from the virus. We are not immune at all. And you could find out that even when mask wearing was mandatory, a lot more people were uncomfortable. And now that the president has said it's no longer mandatory, like they're giving them the leeway to do as they please. So now you go out there, not a single person wears masks. In a trotro, in a taxi, in public, and even in closed spaces, just a handful of people are wearing their masks. But you could at least see that people are still, the hand washing too has reduced, maybe by the sanitization.
You can see the cans empty, no water, no soap, nothing.
Nobody cares about it. So actually we are really taking things for granted, and we should brave ourselves or prepare ourselves for a likely outbreak of a mutation of the virus, because we've all taken things for granted.
So as it is now, what are the health experts doing to whip up interest again in terms of our education and awareness creation?
Okay, so it's just vaccination. The Ghana Health Service thinks that the sure way to beat this virus is having of the population vaccinated. So you recall that earlier this year there was a national vaccination exercise campaign which shot up the number of people who had vaccinated. So the Ghana Health Service has also started that campaign. It started on the 31st of May and it's running to the 12th of June. So it's a nationwide campaign to get a lot more people to vaccinate. So for instance, all persons above 15 years, unvaccinated pregnant women. We also have persons who have taken their first dose and not gone ahead to take their second and even boosters to do so. So it's a nationwide campaign to get people convinced to go and vaccinate against the virus.
Okay, thank you so much, Sarah. That was my colleague Sarah Ofori, remembering us to continue to adhere to the COVID-19 safety protocols. The Tetima office Cocoa Health and Extension Division of Cocoa Board has started distributing 611,000 hybrid cocoa seedling raised at 11 sites. This will be free to over 1,000 farmers in its catchment area. It is an effort to increase the country's cocoa production. Our Bruno East regional correspondent Samuel Ayama has more.
The disease-resistant and high-yielding capacity seedlings have a maturing period of 1.5 to 2 years compared to the previous ones that had an about 5-year fruiting period. The seedlings being raised at 11 nursery sites are for free distribution to farmers working on new farms as well as those on rehabilitated farms for the 2022-2023 crop season. The initiative is to boost the country's cocoa production and replace the about 140% of overage cocoa cocoa trees affected by the cocoa swollen shoot virus disease. The sites of the seedlings ready for transplanting are Nsuta 30,000, Boyam 15,500, Wenchi 30,000, Arowa 34,500, Jema 119,000, Tiobodom 33,000, Ofuman 53,000, Kuntunso 126,000, Ayigbe 30,000, and Bunsu 140,000. The chairman of the Tanoso Nyamemre Cooperative Cocoa Farmers Association, Mr. Osei Fofie, commended government for the gesture.
Fise kani anana nanom edua tetekwashi no na ejimre ansana cocoa no aba. Ene nenso cocoa aban ede aba Ghana no. Ye fe na akokora bedi bi. Ndi wanyini sade nya so betimi aye nko a ene hia. Ne bra ede beso eye bra eti akora.
A cocoa farmer, Elder James Chumasi, said with the seedlings, cocoa farming is now easy.
Another
cocoa farmer, Mr. Ali Mohammed, appealed to the government to support them with other farm inputs. Madam Higabwatima commended government for involving women in the free distribution of the seedlings. She appealed for support with walleting boots and cutlasses. In an interview with GBC News, the assistant technical officer at the Techimai office of the Cocoa Health and Extension Division, Mr. Frederick Apia, spoke about the distribution of the hybrid cocoa seedlings.
Farmer has to get the land, plant low shades or permanent and temporary shades that will be ready for the seedlings. Some of the shades can be plantain, yam, cassava, so that when the seedlings are carted from the site, it will get a good condition, environmental condition, so that it will support the growth of the cocoa seedlings.
Ghana, the world's second largest cocoa producer, turned out a record 1.033 million tons of beans for the 2020-2021 season, an improvement on the previous record of 1.024 million tons in 2010-2011 season. For GBC News, Samuel Ayama, Techimai.
You're watching News Hour here on GBC News, your news and governance channel live on Ghana Television. We're also streaming live on Facebook via Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. Up next is business. Good afternoon and welcome. Time now for the business segment, and I am Dorothy Ajaman. Accra and Beling have joined hands to promote eco-friendly and sustainable construction here in Ghana. As part of the partnership, the staff of Ghana Standards Authority are receiving training from the German Federal Institute for Materials and Testing to improve standards of Ghanaian testing laboratories for construction and building materials, including cement and admixtures.
The partnership agreement between the Ghana Standards Authority and German Federal Institute for Materials Research and Testing is to work closely together on improving standards of Ghana testing laboratories for construction and building materials. The materials include cement, raw materials, mines, manufacturing plants and processes, and process control, which contributes to more sustainable process with modern technology. At the joint public workshop, which include staff training, it was disclosed that the construction industry contributes 10% of global carbon emissions, but cement alone is responsible for 8% of these emissions, caused by chemical process and the energy intensity of the production. The Deputy Director General for European Policy at the Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Action of Germany, Mr. Heinz Hetmer, noted that high-quality construction is relevant for people's health, well-being, and safety. He added that if products on the market do not meet reasonable safety and quality standards in the booming construction industry, it could change from a blessing to a curse. The Director General of the Ghana Standards Authority, Professor Alex Dodu, indicated that their aim is to ensure that high-quality standard concrete cement, which is more durable and sustainable, will be produced for construction in Ghana.
We have recruited 200 training standards officers being trained to go to market to enforce standards. That we have started developing standards for new cement, replacing clinker with locally available materials. We are looking at limestone, we are looking at clay. Something if we can get a viable substitute and save hundreds of millions of dollars.
The drive to promote eco-friendly construction in Ghana began in August 2021.
The Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, has launched its 11th AGI Quality Awards. The scheme is aimed at rapid industrialization and transforming the structure of the economy from the export of raw materials to value addition.
AGI Quality Awards is in collaboration with the Ghana Standards Authority. The two bodies want industry to produce quality tailor-made, well-packaged products for the international market. Ghana has over the years exported her natural resources in their raw form, losing the additional income that comes with processing. Speaking at the launch of the awards, a member of the AGI and chairperson for the awards, Banaman Abbott, stressed the need to leverage public-private collaborations to accelerate business recovery.
It's very important to have partnership or collaboration with government. Here in Ghana, there are agencies and departments and the ministries that have been established to support businesses. The membership of AGI especially. It's a deeper collaboration, more engagement, and that is dependent on those on the ground, on the staff working within the ministries, within the departments, within the agencies. We need a more innovative approach to how they do their work.
The general manager of Coconut Grove Regency Hotel called on Ghanaians to patronize local goods and services to help local businesses grow. The categories for this year's awards include the major awards, the sector awards, regional awards, with a few honorary awards given to deserving firms and personalities.
You're watching the business segment of News Hour. Let's have the performance of the local currency from the forex market and the prices of gold, cocoa and light crude from the Commodity Board.